Hello friends, I am Akshay Agarwal, the founder and director of The Psychology Solutions. In today's video, I am going to talk about life and death. This video is so important for you. It can either save your life or somebody else's life who is near you. We are going to talk about suicide today and the top 9 reasons, the most common 9 reasons why people actually commit suicide. After watching this video, you will be able to recognize that either you are feeling the symptoms for suicide or anybody around you. So the reasons why people actually commit suicide, the first and the foremost common reasons between all the people who commit suicide is either a depression or any mental health problem. Yes, my dear friends, we should not avoid depression or any mental health problem because that is one of the most common reasons in the people who actually commit suicide. And what is depression, how it can be cured? There is a separate video which I have made already, so please go down and watch that video. Second reasons why people actually commit suicide is because of the influence of drug or alcohol. Though drug and alcohol are directly not responsible for people's suicide, but actually they aggravate the reason or they become an agent which increases the tendency of committing suicide. So it has been found that people who have committed suicide were either addict or they used to consume a lot of alcohol so that they can escape from the real problems. The third reason why people commit suicide is because of any traumatic instance in their life. Now this traumatic instance can be anything, for example death of their loved ones, or if they have witnessed any accident, or death of any of their family members, or any such event which has an overwhelming effect on their mentality and thought process which they are not able to come out of from. So mostly it has been seen the people who have faced any traumatic incident in their life, they keep on thinking about that and they create a loop around it, and the worry and the pain about that actually force them to commit suicide. Fourth and the most common reason why people actually commit suicide is the loss or fear of loss, which means that if people are having that constant worry of losing anything, now what they can lose, either losing their job, losing their business, losing out of money, losing out of that fame, missing on to the opportunity, losing on to that political era what they have created around them, or any fear of loss. Even most of the students or farmers, they commit suicide because students think that they might fail in the exams, they might not get good marks in the exams. Farmers have the fear of not being able to pay their debts. Similarly, that constant fear is a very important factor which we should not ignore, and it can actually lead anybody to commit suicide. Fifth reason why people commit suicide is the factor of hopelessness. Hopelessness actually means the lack of positivity, lack of energy, lack of enthusiasm in their life. So some people are totally critical in nature, they have paralysis of analysis and they keep on critically evaluating everything. Hence they are not able to find anything positive around them. As a result, what happens is that they end up criticizing and losing the positivity around them, and they have the tendency of committing suicide because they don't find any reason to live on this earth. Sixth reason is long-lasting illness, which actually means if a person is suffering from any illness for more than 3 to 5 years, then that person gets actually irritated from that problem, frustrated from that problem, and in order to get rid of that problem, the person chooses to commit suicide because that person feels that instead of getting rid of that problem, it is better to get rid of life. As a result, the life and problem will go away and that frustration will be resolved. So the people who are suffering from any illness for a very long time and they are troubled because of that, these people might have tendency of committing suicide. Seventh reason is if anyone is feeling to be a burden on somebody else, that is again a major cause of committing suicide, because no human person wants to live with that guilt that they are a burden on anybody. Hence, in order to remove themselves as a burden from somebody else, they end up committing suicide. They think that I don't want to be a pain in anybody's life, I don't want to be a disaster in anybody's life, and they think that in order to release those people, they end up taking their life in order to give more peace to other people. Eighth reason, which is very interesting and indifferent, but a lot of studies has revealed that this has been a major cause of suicide, is social isolation. Yes, my dear friends, I want to tell you one important thing around it, that worst punishment which can be given to anybody on this earth is not the physical torture, not the mental torture, but putting that person into social confinement so that that person is not able to meet anybody, and that person goes mad and that person suffers so much. So there is a tendency in a lot of people to isolate themselves and not speak with anybody, but that can be dangerous in this era, because we as humans are social animals, and socializing, talking to different people, meeting different people, celebrating, crying and sharing our emotions is the basic tendency of being a human. So make sure you never isolate yourself, and if you see that somebody around you is trying to isolate himself or herself, try to encourage them to move forward and interact with people, because we never know what is going inside that person's mind. Ninth reason, which is not the most common reason, but yes, that also constitute to be a reason, is the act of aggression. Act of aggression means that some people tell other people in the act of aggression that I will commit suicide, I will do this, I will do that if you don't do this for me. And as a result, sometimes by mistake, by aggression, in the zone of that anger, they end up committing suicide. So it is very important, my dear friends, not to instigate or provoke anybody for taking such an action, because during aggression and anger, people lose their sensitivity to think, to be conscious of their decisions. So act of aggression is again a big problem. So make sure you take right precautions when you are angry, and you take right precautions when other person is angry around you. Now comes the most important part of this video, that how a suicide can be prevented. The symptoms what we have discussed till now, if you feel that you are facing any of the symptoms, or a friend around you is facing that symptoms, how you can help that person and prevent a suicide from happening. So first and the foremost important point in order to prevent that suicide is, my dear friends, be a support to somebody. Yes, I know it's easy to be said, but really hard to be done, because the other person is showing tantrums, the other person is hopeless, the other person is negative, the other person is not responding to you properly, and also the other person might be disrespecting you by not listening to you and not talking to you. But still, I would request you to be a support to that person, for the reason you might be regretting the most if that person actually ends up taking that step, and you will be feeling really bad that such good person has left from your life. So make sure you be a support. Now, how to be that support? The second and the most important point is encourage them to seek a professional help. Make them speak with a psychologist. And now when I say you have to encourage them, just don't encourage by your words, because still in the world there is a huge stigma attached to the field of mental health. Nobody wants to accept that they are facing any mental health problem. They don't want to reach out, they don't want to talk. So when I say that you encourage them, walk with them to a psychologist, book an appointment for them, or make them speak in front of you to a psychologist, so that they actually end up taking that help and a life can be saved. So don't just encourage them by saying those words that you should speak to a psychologist, you should speak to a mental health expert. Rather, walk with them to that doorstep of the psychologist so that they genuinely seek that help. Third step is encourage people to do those those activities which they always wanted to do or which they love to do. Because if they start doing those activities which they always love to do, they'll end up being happy and satisfied in their life. And a person who is happy and satisfied will never ever want to take away their life, because they're enjoying being a human, they're enjoying this livelihood, and they will rather be a support system to the whole universe by being happy and spreading more happiness. Fourth, and a very interesting point is, create a web of the support system, my dear friends. By creating a web, what I mean is, don't think that you alone are capable enough to help a person who has suicidal tendencies. Create a web of support system means talk to the person's family members, their spouse, their other friends, so that if you are not around, still other people are aware that this person is having a suicidal tendency, and when you are not around, the other people can take care of that person, and that web is created. So even if that person thinks of committing suicide, somebody is there to prevent that and stop it from happening. So don't take the onus and ownership totally upon yourself. Rather, share your ownership with the people who are around the person who is actually thinking of committing suicide. Fifth point is, connect those people who have suicidal tendencies with their roots in their spiritual life and in their religious life, which means connect them with spirituality and connect them with their own religious beliefs. Because a person who is spiritual in nature and has faith in religion, and a person who is faithful, who has so much hope in his life, would rather be an asset to the universe by creating more faith and more confidence around him or her, and as a result, that person will never commit suicide. There has been a few studies which actually says that the people who actually committed suicide were away from spirituality and did not know the actual meaning of body, soul and mind. Hence, they were able to take this decision of taking their life away. But the person who actually knows what is soul, what is body, what is this universe all about, who is God, what is the purpose of coming to this life, if a person has little knowledge around it, there are chances that the person will not commit suicide. Sixth, and the most important point, which is very close to my heart and I personally feel that this actually can make a difference, is by involving a person who is having suicidal tendencies into activities which are related to charity or philanthropy. Because a person who is involved in the act of charity, of giving away their own assets to the people who are in need, actually have the feeling of superiority, actually have the feeling of goodness in themselves, and they feel that they are a true asset to the universe. They feel good about themselves, they seek a lot of blessings, they see the happiness around them. And the person who is in the act of charity, who believes that who is doing really good for the society, will actually not think about committing suicide. So these were some very important points, that why people actually committed suicide and what are the reasons and how it can be prevented. I'm sure that this video has given some knowledge to you. So I have a request to you, my dear friends, whosoever is watching this video, make sure you write in the comment box that whenever you had that suicidal thought, how did you come out of it, how did you battle that thought, and how you are a happy version of yourself right now, so that other people can listen to your story, and later on in the upcoming videos we can take points from you and make a story around it, so that we prevent suicides from happening and we live in a better universe as we want to live. So thank you so much for watching this video. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel, show us your love so that we can make better videos for you. Thank you so much.